Beavemanites and Docutrons, assemble!
Okay, so back in the day, I was way above the wave, man. I traded in the girls for the video games. I played so much Super Smash Bros. Other kids called me names. They called me Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I was great.
Greetings, Beavemanites. It is I, the Beaveman. I've taken about a week off. Sorry, I got busy. Sometimes things fall through and life gets in the way and you can't do your podcast. But for all of my listeners out there, I do really totally apologize for not having a podcast last week. But I'm going to make up for it this week because this week on Beaveman and the Doc, minus the Doc, with Paper Doc substituting, I've got my son with me, Skylar.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about music today. As you all know, Skylar does the intro and outro tracks for Beaveman and the Doc, same track we use for Beaveman and the Daughter, but he also produces his own music other than just doing my intro and outro. I basically just steal from him.
Yeah, so I do. I just released a new song with my friends a few weeks ago. I think it was 2 weeks. And then I've got a few other songs that have come out over the past couple of months that we're talking about today.
So let's go back in time. When did you first decide you wanted to start making music?
So we made the first song. I used to be with my friend Josh and we made them in his basement like a few years ago, just downloading stuff on the computer and writing lyrics and doing stuff usually like all in that one day. So we'd make like 5 or 6 songs in a day, and then they wouldn't be very good, but we still like would put them out. So then we did that for a while, and then he stopped writing music, so then I did it on my own for a little bit. And then it was April of 2018, I think, is when I started releasing the songs that I have now. So like all the songs you can find under my name.
Now, why did you guys, or why did you yourself decide, how did you decide on the type of music that you were going to do?
It's mostly the type of music that I listen to. So a lot of the songs, like Nintendo, is video game inspired. I listen to a lot of video game music and a lot of video game soundtracks. So that one is really mostly from like the influences of what I listen to. And then there's an artist named Hoodie Allen that I kind of know and talk to, and a lot of his music that's a big part of the sound that I do. So our songs don't sound very similar, but it's that kind of writing style that I go towards.
And I didn't even know there was such a thing as video game music.
Yeah, so there's a lot of weird genres. There's like anime music, which is those Japanese cartoons. There's that kind of music, which depending on, it's a lot of like very upbeat, fast, like kind of just cartoony music. And then there's people that like rap about video games or make songs about video games, or like how I incorporate like video game elements into my songs. So there's a bunch of like different smaller like pockets of subgenre.
Now, in a lot of your music, you've got like backup singing tracks. Is this like free tracks that you find on the internet to put on there, or do you actually have people that are singing that stuff? Not your most recent one, but like your old stuff.
So the older stuff, sometimes I would have friends on them, but most of the stuff now is like sampled music, or a lot of, because I have to pay to use each track unless I make it myself from scratch like we did the new one. So I'll usually I'll either find a song with background vocals on it, or I'll go in and add them in just as myself. So I'll do a lot of editing of my own voice and then use it as the backing for the songs.
Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So stuff that you've paid for, those are artists that make their own little soundtracks, put them out there that are, what do you call that, copyrighted or?
Yeah, so they sell, depending, because there's a lot of different like internet producers and stuff that you can go to, and they have like a set of like rules and copyright and everything that's all drawn up. So you pay them a license to use that song for so many certain conditions, but they make it and they deal with all the copyright issues, and then you deal with them for basically writing to that song specifically.
So in other words, when you use that, though, they're not allowed to use it on any other song after you've used it. Is that right? Or are they allowed to do whatever they want with it?
It depends. Their license, they can, because I just buy a basic lease, so I own the songs that I made, but I don't own like the instrumentals for them or anything, and they can resell it as many times as they want, or you can pay them a lot more to have like nobody else be able to make that song. So like that song would be yours only. So you can buy out the rights fully if you want to.
So theoretically, though, you could have a portion, or you could have the backing track or the backing vocals on your song be on somebody else's song.
Yeah, I've heard other songs, like the instrumental for Millionaire. I randomly came across another song that used that one, which was kind of funny.
That would suck.
It was weird, but it didn't have like much attention or anything. I just happened to come across it while I was looking through other music, and it didn't pop up because it was similar to my song. It was just I was scrolling through songs on Spotify, and it happened to be the same instrumental.
So where do you think, other than like talking about Hoodie Allen and that type of other music, what was your early music influences? How did you? Well, let me ask this question: how did you even come across that type of music in the first place?
I was watching. He was really big in the YouTube scene, and I watched a lot of YouTube. I follow a lot of different creators, and they were friends with him and listened to his music, and they would play it during like their events and things that I would watch. And then Josh listened to him a lot, and thought I would like him, but I just ended up finding it one like random day when I was going through stuff. So then I started listening to that, and then he does a pretty good job, more so in his later music, of like telling stories in his songs, and that's the main thing I like about music. So that's a big influence. And then 80s and 90s rap is very story oriented instead of kind of just like flashy like how it is today. So I like the story stuff more. So those are the main influences, I guess.
I think today's is more of I wouldn't say today's hip hop, but there seems to be a mixture between hip hop and pop now. More than it's more of a sound or like a dance track that they're going for.
They meld together very much like Hoodie Allen's new stuff. He's very much always been like pop rap, and then it kind of blurs the lines between hip hop and pop, which is kind of what he does. So, but like for mine, I just jump from almost genre to genre sometimes because I don't focus on one specific sound. I just write whatever it is or whatever we come up with.
So when you talk about 80s and 90s hip hop, or I guess that's the technical term, I always used to call it rap, but 80s, 90s hip hop, what were your influences there?
Well, the way that N.W.A. told stories is what I looked at a lot, not necessarily what they were saying, but just the way that they told stories. And then the Beastie Boys also do a lot of storytelling in theirs, and they get a lot across in like only 2 or 3 minutes, which I think is interesting. So those are like the really two big ones.
Any songs in particular that you're talking about?
I think the like Straight Outta Compton is a big one that like tells a whole entire story in like only 4 or 5 minutes. So those ones are pretty big. Most of the ones on that album, that Straight Outta Compton album, those tell like full stories in like 4 minutes for, I think it's like almost 20 songs or something like that. So a lot of their stuff, because Ice Cube wrote all that, he wrote the majority of it, and he writes like full out stories for each and everything, and then just turns it into a song, which is really cool.
Now with music, obviously there's writers out there that just write for artists, and the artists sing. Obviously not every artist writes their own stuff.
Right.
Do you feel like the stuff that you write is personal, or do you feel like you're just cranking stuff out?
Most of the time it's pretty personal and relatable. It's not, I don't dive into like any issues or topics or anything, so it's mostly just what is the stuff that I like that's nerdy that I can put into music. But there's a lot of people that write like hip-hop and rap specifically. There's a lot of people that only write those songs and then don't perform them, and then they sell them to other artists, and then the label will own those songs, and then they put someone that they like onto those songs, which usually is how like new careers get started or how new careers get born is because this label has a song that they think is very well written and they've got the instrumental and everything lined up. They just need a new person to put onto it. So, but a lot of those times you'll see, depending on what the songwriter wants to do, the songwriter will become the artist, and they typically have very successful careers because they write their own music and then they can crank out as much as they want of it. But for the latest song we did, Crazy, that one is a lot different than anything I've done, but I wrote that one pretty fast, and it's not the people I made it with, I guess they have like trouble with girls, but like I've been with Michaela for an incredibly long time and we don't have problems. So like they came to me and talked to me about what they wanted the song to be about, and I was like, I don't relate to any of that at all, but I can try. So I wrote like they came up with the idea for the song, and then I wrote like a pretty decent chunk of pretty much everything. But yeah, because the song is about two people who kind of do or don't know if they want to be together, and then the song is kind of supposed to be like the thing that pushes it over the edge, but it's open-ended whether or not they get together. And I was like, that's so vague, and I have no idea about any of that at all.
Well, let me ask this question then. For your musical influences, who introduced you to N.W.A? When did you start? Who introduced you to that?
I'd say for the video game influences, there's an artist who I went to go see a few years ago on the Hoodie Allen tour, named Kyle, and he used to do a lot of like video game inspired music, and he would have like the sound effects kind of like I do, and then but his instrumentals would be like video game instrumentals of like popular games, like it's just like a lot of the 8-bit sounds from like the arcade games, and then him and his friend would turn those into songs, and then those would get really popular. But he does really different music now, so I don't listen to him as much anymore, but it's just a lot of like a lot of the stuff I've listened to over the years is like from the artists that Hoodie Allen interacts with. So it's kind of that he's like the kind of jumping off point for finding new artists sometimes.
Well, too, I think when you're talking about, like you said, you don't listen to them anymore, is that could be like the evolution of the artists or their interests change.
Yeah.
Or are they looking at what market trends are? Obviously, if you put some sounds in there, like if you put, for example, in Nintendo where you're putting in the sound from the video game, you're trying to reach a certain audience that understands what that is in the first place.
Right, because it's references and Easter eggs and all that stuff. So a lot of it is, it's a pretty niche market. Like unless you're already big, you're probably not going to get big doing video game music. And there's a lot of people like in the video game community that I know and I watch and engage with, and they make music, but like they make video game music for fun because they do other stuff that they're already bigger with.
Right. Well, you could always get picked up by a production company that's going to make a movie, where they make Detective Pikachu. They're like, oh, this kid makes this music that we've heard about, so
right.
He can write something for the movie.
Yeah, because they'll do like because it's definitely a genre, and there's a lot of people that listen to it. There's just not that many people that make a big like public impact on it. The Kyle, the guy who made a lot of the video game music, he had a lot of really popular songs and then got picked up by Atlantic Records, which is like one of the biggest record labels in the United States, and they changed like they basically went through and changed like everything about him. So like there's no video games, or he's not really like a nerd anymore. So I didn't really keep listening after that.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to go ahead and interject here as Paper Doc, and let me ask you this question, Skylar. I see that you're doing this type of music with like the video games and everything. Have you considered doing a Dungeons and Dragons soundtrack?
I haven't played any Dungeons and Dragons, and I have a lot of friends who play it, and I have some friends who do Dungeon Masters, but I haven't because a lot of people will ask me like about Lord of the Rings and other things. I just don't think I like fantasy that much anymore.
Well, I think that you really should give it a shot. You know, you could go to YouTube and watch entire games that people have played for like 10 hours.
Right.
I mean, it's fascinating. Don't you think, Beaveman? It's fascinating. I mean, I guess it depends on what your definition of fascinating is, Paper Doc, because I, for one, I'm going to be kind here. I don't find that fascinating. Well, then you're just a dick. All right, Paper Doc, just go ahead and sit down now. Oh, well, let's do this then. Let's go ahead and play a clip from Nintendo. Nintendo is the intro and outro track for Beaveman and the Doc, with a little bit of extra added sound clips, I guess you would say. And let's go ahead and play this. It kind of picks up from the intro track, and we'll discuss it a little bit.
Okay, so back in the day, I was way above the wave, man. I traded in the girls for the video games. I played so much Super Smash Bros. Other kids called me names. They called me Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I was bringing them pain. Now they say I'm out my mind, cause that shit rot in my brain. But I stay and play inside every day that it rains. Okay, I've been getting badges, now I'm coming for fame. And I'll beat your ass at Mario Kart, so stay in your lane, bitch.
So that song is rare. It's very directly inspired by like time in elementary school, because that's when I played like most of the video game stuff. Was when I would go over to my friend Garrett's house, who had an N64, because we had the GameCube and I played stuff on that, but we'd play like at his house like all the time. And then if we were doing sleepovers, that's what we do. And then we had like our Game Boys. And then when I was in the musical for Music Man, I think it was fourth grade, like fifth or fourth grade, in between, because our time for rehearsal was short, but we'd be there for like a few hours. Like there were like 4 or 5 of us, and we'd all sit around with like our link cable and play Pokemon for like however many hours. So that one's pretty like, that's why the cover is like me as like a child playing video games, because it's directly inspired by like how much I played video games as a kid.
Yeah, the cover's funny because you've got your old little Nintendo there, your Game Boy Advance SP.
Yeah. Yeah, so that one's directly inspired by like and the chorus is all directly inspired by it. So it's pretty much like it's a song about like how because I played video games. I play video games a lot now, but it's different because back then it's like just playing with your friends for fun. But now games, kind of depending on what you play, are more singular. So a lot of those games we would play would be like single player, like Pokemon stuff or whatever, but we'd all be like together playing them and taking turns and like all this fun stuff. So that's kind of like the main inspiration for that. And then like the sound effects from like all the stuff I play, like the Super Mario games, and then the Pokemon sounds, and then like the sounds of like the coins and some other Zelda stuff is in there. But that's pretty much like directly inspired by like those specific times in like elementary school, because other people would be doing other stuff and we'd be like playing Pokemon cards like on the playground and all that stuff.
I always thought it was funny because when you were little, you guys would like do stuff together, but you'd like be sitting on the couch next to each other playing at the same time.
Yeah.
And from a child development standpoint, as a nurse, you're like, oh, this is what you call parallel play. And that's what toddlers do. You're like, oh, that's what toddlers do. And that's what the kids now do. But now I imagine from talking to people that play video games now, they're playing with headsets. So they're not even like in the same, they might not even be in the same room.
Yeah, it depends on what you're playing, because the way that I'm very different from like, I still would call myself a gamer, but I'm very different from other gamers because I play the 3 big companies are Xbox and Sony and Nintendo. So they all have their own systems, but Xbox and PlayStation directly compete with like the big online multiplayer games like Call of Duty and all those other ones that like people go and do gaming tournaments for. But Nintendo is kind of seen more as childish, so they're not really a part of that community, which is like the stereotypical guy who wears the headsets and eats the
Right.
Doritos and drinks
Well,
Mountain
that's
Dew.
kind of makes funny. So this is a shout out to my friend Tom, if you're listening, you big freaking nerd, because you do that, right, with a headset, and you've got friends that you've never even met that you play with.
Right, which those are still your friends, but like that's a whole different community, which is kind of weird because we're all part of gaming, but there's definitely like the community I'm a part of is very different because the games are so different, the systems are so different, but and the way that we play is also very different, so it's just kind of interesting.
In my mind, I picture them all sitting there like 400 pounds, wearing like fake fact vests and having like the little airsoft guns and having little helmets on with their headsets.
Well, Doc isn't here to defend himself.
Talking shit about how like, oh, like, if there was an invasion, I could totally defend myself against any type of aggressor because I've got this awesome airsoft gun, and I'm really good at Call of Duty, so totally I would be an awesome soldier.
Well, I definitely have met people like in the different gaming communities that like it's a very true stereotype. But
Those are people I like to throat punch. Not you, Tom, but those are the people I like to throat punch.
yeah, so it's different. It's interesting though because even though the Nintendo community is more like quote unquote like wholesome or innocence directed like kind of towards children, like you still have an overwhelming amount of like very negative adults in it, and it's just like anything that you're a part of, there's good and there's bad people in it,
Right.
But I stay more towards like I don't have a problem playing like the family friendly games and like the stuff that I think is because their games are usually more easy and catered towards children, but I still think that's fun.
Right.
I don't. A lot of people bash that.
There's a lot of problem solving.
Yeah, and a lot of people bash it because it's not catered towards adults. So you kind of have to know like what you're playing. Like they're not making the game. A lot of the games they don't make for me. There's some that they do, like my age range and how I play, but most of the Nintendo Switch is like a family console, but I choose to play it more than that. So, but then you have to know what's like appropriate, and a lot of people don't.
Right. Some people just dive right in. It might be a fun conversation to have with my friend Tom and Doc if he ever comes back to the show. So this is kind of an exciting time though because you can produce music pretty easily now.
Yeah,
And get it out there and try to distribute it.
So it probably cost me $20 for the whole year to distribute every song that I do. But if I do like average cost of a song to get the licensing and rights to it is the only big thing, it's probably like $10 to $15. But then Crazy we made for free because we made that for scratch, and then I wrote all the music for it. So it used to be a bigger deal to like make music in your bedroom and everything, but now anybody like it's like making movies. Anybody everywhere can go do it, and you don't need like the best equipment. You just have to kind of know how to use what you have. So because I have a really good setup. My setup in total probably is like $500, and that includes the software I use. But that's like on the low end for like music production and stuff, because my friend who we made Crazy with, he's got like studio grade like equipment and everything like that. So it really depends person to person what you do, but a lot of it is how you edit it and how you work with it. So you don't really need like the most expensive whatever anything to be successful with it.
Right, and there's a learning curve also. I'm sure if you're kind of doing it as a hobby for, like the podcast is a hobby for me, and sound is much better now over time. That was just even learning how to speak into the mic and articulating and not saying the same thing over and over again and not making a bunch of noises into the mic, et cetera, et cetera. That's just evolution, I guess.
Yeah, it just comes from doing it over and over and learning what you did wrong last time so that you don't do it again, and then eventually you iron out all the wrinkles that you've got and everything, and something that seems so easy to you because you've done it 1,000 times, somebody else can look at it and be like, I don't know how you got there from doing this, but it's just practice.
Right. And then what you're trying to do is you're also trying to build this following And do you feel like with the tracks that you've released, you've got the same people listening to it, and there's some sort of a distribution there with shares?
There's definitely a lot of, because it shows you how many people listen to you per month on Spotify, and those are people that listen like month to month. And then you've got like when I release a new song, there's a spike and it goes up. But there's usually, my base number is like 30 people every month consistently listening to me, which to me, like 30 is a lot. Right now it's at 60 because we put out Crazy a few weeks ago. And then, but yeah, it's like I don't know who the 30, I know some of the 30 people, but like, I don't know who the 30 people are that consistently listen and support, but there's like, I definitely have like a small following, which is kind of cool.
And what do you think about like promoting the different tracks? For example, I know that a lot of people like SoundCloud. We use SoundCloud for our podcast. That's the primary one that we use, and it also posts it to the Apple Podcast. But statistics wise, and what I pay for a subscription is all through SoundCloud. And you can promote, there's companies that will reach out to you to promote your music, and a lot of people bust down SoundCloud. They're like, oh, they're a SoundCloud rapper, which you're also talking about. This is podcasters that bust on it. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but they're not doing anything differently than a major artist is doing, except they're doing it on a shoestring budget, and they're not spending millions of dollars to promote a track. For example, if you wanted to promote a track, you could promote a track for as little as $20 to get an actual marketing campaign for your track and to actually distribute it to, thousands of people.
Right. The way I've done it in the past is I do it all myself, and there's so many scams out there because there's so many artists that want to pay to have it be like the number one song on the radio and everything. So I get a lot of messages from like different companies and different people that are basically like, I don't get a lot of offers for, because there's two types of promotion. There's organic promotion, which is where somebody actually likes your thing and they'll go out and promote it for you for real. And then there's people who will sell you plays, because plays will get up your engagement and then that will drive the algorithm. So it's basically playing the math game to see how high can I drive up what I'm doing so that it actually takes off, even though I paid for it in a fake way.
Well, it's not, but that's the thing that I look at it and I go, it's not really paid for it in a fake way, because that's what artists do anyway. They still market. They're just using millions of dollars to market something, and you're using $20 to do it. Yeah. So why, I'm trying to understand, when I look at it, why are people negative about it? I'm like, why are you negative about that? They're self-promoting. Mm-hmm. So what if they spent $20-$50 to promote a track to get plays? Yeah. And that, like you said, it kicks off the algorithm, and then now it's recommended to other people, and they're actual people, and they're like, oh, well, let me try this song.
Mm-hmm. The ones that I've done is Instagram has good promotion, and then the only issue with it is I promote to real people, but a lot of the ones you get reached out to, like people will have like 2,000 or 3,000 bots, and then once you pay them, they'll make those 2,000 to 3,000 bots go run up the plays on your song. And that one, that's like I usually don't talk to those people or respond to those people, just because it's like, it's at the point where, because just like the podcasting, like music is my hobby, so I'd rather have it be, I don't need it to be insanely popular as long as I'm having fun and making the stuff I want to make. So usually I'll turn those people down and be like, I don't really want to talk about it.
Right. Well, with Beaveman on the Dock, we have thousands of plays without doing any boost. We did like one marketing campaign.
Yeah, which is pretty hard to get, because even especially on SoundCloud with podcast and music, like the market is so oversaturated. So even like the numbers that your stuff and my stuff does without like a big budget promotion is pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's where I look at it. There's weeks that'll go by where I'll get, in 7 days, my average will be, from 60 to 100 plays. And to me, that's pretty amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I'd be surprised if I got 10 or 12 plays. Right. If I go a week, like if I went, like, for example, this week where I didn't post anything, where I didn't post a new episode, and really what I should do is repost my old episodes as my favorites. But this week I didn't post anything. And I had 3 days in a row where I had no listeners, which is uncommon unless I don't post an episode.
Right. I think because that's more, I think if I look at my average streams per month when I'm not releasing songs is about probably 100 for the 30 days is pretty common, because I'll have people that listen like a few times a day, but it's not like major, because I have big songs on there, but they don't they haven't passed like the 1,000 mark or anything yet, but I've got like a couple 800s and 600s and all that, so they get steady numbers. But I'd prefer to have like the low and steady numbers over like very high, very obvious, like not real organic numbers, because then I can actually look at them and see like who's listening, where are they listening, who can I engage with, and all those kinds of things.
What I think what's really cool though is you can totally self-promote and become able to perform at venues where people actually know you. For example, you talk about this guy Hoodie Allen. We went to see his concert, and I was the oldest person there, obviously. I thought there would be some older people there, but there was not. I was the oldest person there. It was really good, but when he came out and he made some reference to, he's like, we're only going to play songs that have 4 million plays. You know, and to hear him say, 4 million, oh my God, that's a lot. If you think about it, that, you know, where he was just making these tracks, which obviously he's bigger now than when he first started off, but
right.
To get 4 million plays on a track that you're basically, worked on producing yourself, that's a big deal.
Yeah, he's, a lot of his music history is, he started in college and he made songs in his dorm with his friend, and then he opened for some bigger artists that played at his college, and then from there he did like the internet thing and just marketed himself over the internet, and that's how he became kind of bursted into the mainstream, because he doesn't have a record label and he's never had one. So he'll make the songs and then put them out on the internet a lot of the time for free, and then they'll spread faster that way. And then,
that's smart.
Yeah, so but he went to like college for like marketing and all that kind of stuff, so he took that and he just basically just worked really hard on the music and then put it out for free, and then it spread really far.
Well, this is not a Hoodie Allen podcast, but Hoodie Allen, if you're listening, and I know that you do, can't write. Thanks for that concert. You're a very talented young man.
Pretty fun.
It was pretty fun, but yes, I was the oldest person there, so maybe start marketing to some old people.
I'm sure I've seen to the shows I've gone, there's a lot of moms at his shows, so you never know.
Yeah, but I'm probably a good 10 years older than most of those moms.
I don't know. I've seen some old ladies there.
Well, let's play another track then. This is a personal favorite of mine. When did this one come out?
Which one?
This was Voicemail.
That was March of this year.
What?
Hi, this is Skylar. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks. Bye.
I've been MIA, staying in my lane. So many fake friends, they didn't even know my name. They don't know my state, I got a new state of mind. I ain't never texting back, cause they're wasting my time, hey. So I could get alone. I chill right here, write rhymes on my phone. Produce it in the bedroom on a cheap microphone. And I'll take it to the top, I'ma sell out some shows.
I'm stronger without you in my life.
Damn right.
Can't believe I read between the lines.
Should've put it in a book, bitch.
You no longer deceive me with your lies.
You ain't gonna fool me.
Cause I'm done with you, out of sight, out of mind. I'm a street boy.
All right, so talk about your influence. We know what I like about this song
What's that?
is that most people, when they listen to it, until they get to a certain part, may think that you're talking about a girl.
Right. So the song isn't about a girl. I'll debunk that off of the top, because like I said, my girlfriend and I have an amazing relationship. So it's any songs I write about like that kind of stuff is usually more so directed at like people I'm friends with or people that I've kind of disconnected with. This song in particular, the chorus I didn't have anything to do with. That's part of the producer and what they did with the song. So I wrote around it, and then I created the story from that, because there's a part in there with an actual voicemail, which I get a lot of people asking me if the voicemail in the song is real, and it's not. It's staged. I had my friend. I wanted a very specific friend to do it because he's one of my really good friends from high school, and I asked him, I was like, I have a song idea I want to do, and I'm going to edit your voice and make it sound like a voicemail, like on the telephone and stuff. But I need you to like leave me this dramatic voicemail. Here's the script, and make it like so many seconds. So the voicemail, and it's not real, because I'm still really good friends with him, and we like talk like all the time. But that song is more so, it was like the winter, and I wanted to do something different, and the cover art for it is like me sitting like on the roof, because I was like, we should do something like different and like take a chance with something. And then I couldn't get off the roof because it was covered in snow, so I haven't done that since. But there's just like a lot of people that I try to be friends with everyone, and then they'll tell me a lot of different things and everything, and then I kind of just go on back to like my normal natural like group of like 5 to 10 friends, which even 10 is like a big number for it. But I don't know, even that song is like, the song is more dramatic than how I feel, and a lot of people say that one is like a really good, because that one was like the most popular one when I put it out. That was like the most popular song like I've ever had. But like a lot of the feelings are more so like, I just like try to connect with friends and like see what we can do, and like what are some ways that we can become better friends. And then sometimes they'll just say like, or they won't say anything and just kind of leave it at that. So that song is kind of like similar to some of the older stuff I put out that isn't under my regular name now. So it's kind of a nod to the older stuff because I don't really have like those problems. But that's like another one where I was like, I kind of can relate to it, but I'll write about it and see what it says in it. So,
oh, I think you're doing a good job of being just a storyteller, and that's what I like about it. Even with your more hip hop type stuff, when you do your rapping and stuff, I think that's what I've told you in the past. I'm like, oh, this kind of reminds me of this from more of the storytelling time, without without the it's not like you're swearing your head off or anything like
right.
that, but. No, and that's a good story, and I always wondered too. I'm like, was that a staged voicemail? Or is it an actual voicemail? Because it's way more I guess you would say deep than I would consider most people your age to leave that type of voicemail on a guy friend's voicemail.
Yeah, so there's a few friends that I've made like in making music, like online and stuff, and then sometimes they'll just, I don't know, because I don't know if we're not necessarily in like competition or anything, but like I'll talk to them and be like really friendly, and they'll just kind of like not want that much to do with it. So it's like I don't talk to that many girls. Like I have friends that are girls, but like I don't like talk to them that much, or like there's no drama or anything like that. So sometimes it's more so like guys, like if they don't want to talk to you anymore, they just won't talk to you.
Right. They're like, well, I think a lot of times guys, their life just gets in the way. And for me, I always tell people that I don't have any friends. I'm like, well, that's true and it's not true. I have friends that I could not see for 10 years or even talk to for 10 years, and then we'll see each other and it's like no time went by at all. And I think that's probably, I don't know if that's a guy thing specifically, but I definitely know it's a thing for me. And it's definitely a thing for me with my friends that I had in the Army. We're all the same way. One of my friends said, when we talked about how we hadn't seen each other for, he's like, man, it ain't been nothing but a minute. And it had been like 20 years.
Right. I'm
like, oh, you're right. That's the same attitude that I have. I'm like, oh, I don't have to see you or talk to you for 2 years. But then when we do, it's like no time went by at all, and we can hang out comfortably and talk.
Right. Because the friend that's on that song, I haven't seen him in a really long time, but we talk like every other week. And it's pretty much like whenever I do see him, it's like the same thing, like not that much has changed, and we're still good friends. And I have that relationship with a lot of people I went to school with around here, because they moved away and then I moved away, but like I still talk to them on like a semi decent regular basis. But even when I don't, it's still like the same thing.
Yeah, I think that I mean, personally, I mean, not that I'm not a girl, but I think that men look at it a lot differently, whereas women have to be up each other's asses.
Right. Yeah, so with that song specifically, it's kind of, because there's people that flip back and forth, or they'll say one thing, and if I try to hang out with them, or like, try to like do events with them or stuff, and just like be friends, and they'll say like one thing, and then they'll flip back and forth, or they just don't respond, or then they will, and then we hang out, and then they just go back to how it is. So that song is kind of just like, I'd say it's kind of a dramatization of it, and then that voicemail is kind of just like supposed to be about like, it's supposed to make me like sound like hard to reach and stuff, because about like how many times it goes back and forth and everything. So, but yeah, I wrote the script for the voicemail for him, and then I just sent it to him and had him call me, and then I did like I edited it in a specific way to make it sound like it's like coming straight from the phone, and then
without it sounding like crap.
Yeah, because I didn't, because I think I screen recorded it and then took that audio and then filtered that audio instead of just recording it from mic to the phone, because it sounds really bad if it's a telephone call. So I did that, and then I edited in pause, because his voicemail sounds really dramatic. I edited in pauses where it sounds like he's like taking a breath or anything, because his normal voicemail is only like 10 seconds. So then I went through and I added in extra space, like blank space from the voicemail. So I edited in choppy parts to make it sound like it's just one continuous like sad voicemail.
Yeah, I mean, it's really good. Well, he did well also.
Yeah, he did a good
His
job.
reading voice for it is very natural. It doesn't sound like he's just reading it.
Yeah, I was excited with the way he did it. I was happy to have him on it, because I think it took like a week for him to be able to like have time to do it. So I was like, that's fine, I'll wait, because I wanted him to be able to do it. So I thought it was fun.
No, he did do it very well. It sounds very natural.
Yeah, I get a lot. Everybody that talks to me about it, they ask if it's real, and I'm like, no, it's not. But I think it's funnier that I have like one of my best friends like do it to where it sounds like we're not like friends anymore. I think that's funnier.
Well, but again, like people always want, that's kind of what makes the story interesting, is like, well, not everybody can have all these crappy situations where they write songs about it. And so you always wonder, like, what's their inspiration for writing that song? For example, like when we look at a local band here, Wayland, those guys write a lot of songs.
They have a lot of songs.
They have a lot of songs that they've written, and some of them are so personal. You're like, well, is that really did you write that about a girl? Because rock bands, you're always like, oh, they're writing about a girl.
Yeah.
Or which girl are they writing about? Is it this guy's girl, that guy's girl, or is it a song that they just wrote, that they
Right.
came up with, or just something that they happen to see? You know, if they see somebody walking down the road that's wearing, you know, these boots that they've never seen before, they think, cool, maybe they'll write a song about a girl that was wearing boots or whatever.
Right.
So I always wonder what their inspiration is, but I think it's like anything else. People who write songs are writers, so they write all the time. Mm-hmm. Just like, you know, you're a writer, so you write all the time. We had stacks of spiral notebooks and notebooks that you had of stuff that you've been writing since you were little.
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely think that's a big impact on why my writing style is, because that writing style is not as popular now. Like, people don't tell that many stories in their songs, or if they do, they're very short. So I think it's directly influenced by like how much I just like writing in general. So
I think, like you said, like I said too, I think that now music is just about a sound. Mm-hmm. It's about a sound, and it's a lot like when you look at the type of cartoons that they produce for little kids, where the voices are very high pitched and all these different things. That specifically is tuned towards that type of learner at that age.
yeah.
And so now what they a lot of times what they do with music is it's a specific beat or a specific sound that they're going for, regardless of what the words say. You don't even have to understand what they're saying.
Right. And sometimes it's even the specific frequency. So they've
Right.
got it down. It's basically a science.
Yeah,
now,
it's a science. How are we going to stimulate the brain in a certain way?
which is why the record labels are so good at it, because they'll find what kind of the equation is for a song, what certain beat pattern should it be at, what's the highest frequency we should hit in the song, and then what are just like, there's a lot of like it's like advertising. There's a lot of subtle things in it that will make you think of it later. Right. That you
How
don't
do I
know.
make you hungry?
Yeah. So I'd say what the music scene is now is it's advertising and marketing.
Yeah, it's a formula that they've got for exactly so that they can. And of course, they're going to make more money that way. They're going to make more money that way, and the artists are not.
Yeah, but that's why they sign so many new artists, is because they can make anybody blow up, because they've got the equation for why are you going to keep listening to this song. Mm-hmm. Which I think is, I think it's a really cool that the response we've gotten for Crazy is like similar to a mainstream song, but like we had nothing to do with like anything mainstream in making it. Like we made it in like a day or over a few days of recording, but people like say they say they listen to it as much as they listen to like the mainstream stuff, because it's like that kind of catchy. Right.
Well, it's always fun to find that stuff out. You know, talk about like that experience you had where was the friend that you were working with. Do you remember that story where he said that he was in the car?
Oh, the car one?
The car one where his friend had you on his playlist or something like that.
Oh, yeah. So I used to work at a warehouse, and one of my all the people in the warehouse knew that I made music, and one of my good friends was going on vacation to Indiana for a few days with all his friends who like I've never met or never talked to or know anything about. And they were driving to Indiana, and one of my songs came on his friends' phones that he's like never talked about me or anything to either. And he got like really excited. He was like listening to the song in the car, and he was like, "No way, like I know the guy who made this song." And then his friend whose phone it was like, "No, wait, no you don't." And he like pulled up like we're like friends on Facebook and like work at the same group, and it was really cool. And he told me that story. I was like, that's pretty amazing.
That is very cool.
So yeah, it's one of those things that like I never like thought about it. Like I never thought, because I don't know the majority of the people who listen to my stuff. Like I don't know anything about them or their names even. So, but it's definitely cool to like hear those stories, because I know there's a lot of people that listen that like I don't know, but like they might know me in some kind of capacity, because a lot of my listeners are local to Kalamazoo too. Mm-hmm. So like Kalamazoo is my biggest listening city, and then Battle Creek is a big one, Grand Rapids, Lansing. So like all pretty much like within like the 2-hour radius of here is like my biggest listening area.
Yeah, I'm hoping someday I'll run into somebody in another state that's heard of Beaveman in the Dock.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool, but I don't think that's going to happen, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the good thing about having these different companies that can track stuff for you when you see where the top cities are that you get listened to. Beaveman in the Dock obviously mostly gets, well, not really, I can't even say it mostly gets listened to in Michigan. We got a lot of listeners in Arizona and throughout the Midwest and that sort of thing. So it's always nice to see it, pop up for somewhere else. Once we made it into the top 300 of comedy podcasts in Poland.
That's pretty impressive.
Like, I don't know how that happened, especially since one would suspect that they speak Polish, but
right. But yeah.
Maybe they just like the artwork. I don't know.
But I think the way that I do it, at least the way I write my music is very like local to this area. Like I try and go for specifically like the Midwest Kalamazoo like sound or feeling, because I don't.
Do we have a sound?
I don't know, because I just talk about like stuff around here, and then other people, which I think is why so many people like I know and that I don't know around here listen to it, because I'm like, other people from this area or from just like in smaller music making in general, like they kind of disregard where they're from. They kind of go with where they want to be. So like they talk about like money or big cities and stuff like that. And I'm like,
It's
just
done.
wanna,
That's repeatedly done.
yeah. So I'm just like, I want to talk about video games and buying my graphic T-shirts at Meijer. So, but I think that's why a lot. I feel like that. I think that's why people around here kind of relate to it more, because that's like the stuff I write about. Like I don't talk about any of that stuff. I just talk about like stuff I do while I'm here.
Well, yeah, but some of the stuff you do is just funny as shit. Like where you, and one of them is you say something like, "I'll make you like Kerrigan weak in the knees."
Yeah,
like,
because
like you gotta like really pay attention to that one. Makes me laugh. I'm like,
yeah, because I had watched I, Tonya a few months earlier, and I remember because I saw that movie in like January, and then I wrote the song in February, and I was because there's like a lot of my references are I have like pages of like references like online. There's like a lyric website that the popular artists use, and you can go in and annotate your lyrics. So I've done that for a few of my songs because some of the lines in there are like so obscure that you would have to like know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
Otherwise you're not going to get it.
well, the other one that's funny too is like you're sour like lemon lime or something like that. Yeah, that's funny.
I think it's like it's like you're acting so sour, I guess you're lemon lime.
Yeah.
And so yeah, my one friend from work loves that line. He was like, "That is my favorite like line from like the entire song. It's so funny." I was like, "It's like the small stuff." Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of clever small stuff that I'm like, where did you come up with that? That's pretty.
the big one that I released in September, Level Up. That one has like a lot of over stuff, like really weird references that like make you have to like specifically. There's a line where I say something like, because I talk about playing video games, so I say, hidden like the Hunchback, spitting Notre Dame, because it's spitting when the Notre Dame Cathedral caught on fire.
Yeah.
So I'm like, there's some of that small stuff is like really weird, like connections that I'll make, and I'm like, it sounds good, so I'll put it in there, but nobody might understand it.
Well, that's why I like a lot of that stuff, because it reminds me of, and I don't know how much of that, if you've listened to any of that stuff, but a lot of it reminds me of like the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff, or
Yeah.
Young MC, or even the Fat Boys, stuff like that, or in the Beastie Boys. It all reminds me of stuff like that. That's why I think it's funny.
Yeah, because they'll be like, they're dated references, but they work like forever.
Right.
So, but yeah, I think that's something I try to write like a decent amount in, because I think they're funny.
Right, and people that don't know anything about it will probably know what you're talking about when you talk about weak in the knees and it.
Yeah. But yeah, because that line I was gonna change like a word or two in it with the Kerrigan thing, and then Michaela was like, "I think the way that it sounds is fine.
Right.
Like I think the way it sounds is good, and you should keep it." I was like, "Okay," because like I didn't like nobody my age is gonna know what that is.
But they might look it up.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is they might, it's not like, the big difference too with lyrically speaking, that I can actually understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And there's a big problem with that. We make fun when we're singing with stuff in the car, even, stuff from the 80s and 90s, a lot of the rockers in 90s, like in Pearl Jam. I can't understand anything
Yeah, those lines
they're
are up to
saying. I'm like, I love the
interpretation.
songs. I'm like, but I would like to just sit down one day and listen to him and write out what I think he's saying. That would be fun. But yeah, you can't understand what they're saying. And I remember doing a rap for my high school follies a million years ago. And I remember our drama, the director saying, "I can't understand what you're saying. You have to say it so I understand what you're saying." I'm like, well, that's not really
That's
my
not what they
concern.
do. Yeah.
Like, that's not really my concern. You're listening for a beat, but I had to like really articulate it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it does make a difference, but sometimes it takes a little bit away from it.
Yeah, I think it depends on, because I grew up listening to all the alternative and rock and like all those early 2000s songs, and like as a child, like I don't know what they're saying, so most of those songs I'll still listen to them
Right.
today and like not
Well, I still
know
know
the
what
right
they're
words.
What musical influences do you think you got from me then?
Well, I don't listen to much like rock and roll and like 2000s music, but it's very much like in my favorites of music. I just don't listen to it very much. So like pretty much everything you listen to, I also know. Like I can not listen to those songs for like a year and a half, and then I'll put on my rock and roll playlist and I'll know every word of them, because that's like all we would listen to is like alternative music in the 2000s.
Yeah. Well, there's actually a story behind why I listen to rock and not so much hip hop.
Well,
the
what's
past.
that? Well, because it got to, because that was all we listened to. So like, I didn't know about hip hop for like ever, and then because like I remember I had like Britney Spears posters and stuff. Like when I first heard like that music or whatever.
There's some pop, yeah.
Yeah.
No, really, when I was growing up, I listened to, obviously when I was a kid, we listened to disco music and stuff from the 60s and 70s. And then there was a really long time in, I'm assuming America, but definitely in the Midwest, where it was all country. Like everybody dressed like country and everybody listened to country music. And then sometime around, I think probably 4th or 5th grade, I started listening to rap. And the tapes I had were like the Fat Boys, and then I could borrow stuff from like, I'd get like borrow Old Dirty Bastard from a friend, and that's what I started listening to. And then I listened to the Beastie Boys and more Fat Boys and Young MC and DJ Jazzy Jeff and all that stuff. And that was really what I listened to. That was primarily what I listened to. I also listened to like the hair bands also, but the majority of the stuff I listened to was that. And that was those were the CDs I had when I was in the Army, and I started playing those in the barracks in my room. And one day when I was there really pretty early on, a bunch of the Spec 4s came into my room, and they're like, "You're not listening to that stuff." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "You're not black. You can't listen to that." And they weren't black, they were white.
Right.
And they're like, and they like handed me Metallica, and they're like, "This is the stuff you have to listen to."
I mean, that they were wrong, but it makes sense because it's the Army in the 80s and 90s. They're like, let's go listen to this rock metal while we wait for...
While we drink. And,
yeah, wait for action.
Or we do stuff where we had these metal lockers that we kept our stuff in that were built into the wall in our rooms, and that's where we put our stuff, and we would hit them to see who could make the biggest dent in them with, like, you know, our fists, or some people would hit them with their heads. So you could see where that mentality is, where they're like, no, you're going to listen to rock.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I would listen to alternative rock also, but they're like, no. I'm like, the first things they were like, no, you're going to listen to stuff like Metallica and things like that. They're like, you're not black. I'm like, well, I know I'm not black, but
right.
This is what I've listened to for the past forever. So, and then after that, you know, my first wife, she was a big alternative rock person. So,
yeah, it's definitely like, because I don't listen to the radio that much now. I listen to Christmas music on the radio a very, very long time every day. But like regular radio, I don't listen to it. But that's all we would listen to is like what they were playing was big on the radio. So like the alternative hits, or because alternative music in the 2000s is pretty different from rock music, but it's still got like that kind of similar sound.
yeah.
So that's like, but like all those songs, like from growing up, from like whenever I started listening to music until like, probably until like we moved here, and then like music, cause we shifted more towards like AC/DC and like all that kind of stuff. So, but like I know like all those Red Hot Chili Peppers and like the alternative music and like the regular rock and stuff, like it's all in my head still.
Yeah, I mean that's all. I probably, if people ask me what's the main thing, that I would say that my genre of music that's probably my favorite, I'd probably say alternative.
Yeah, I like alternative a lot.
And I like hip hop, but when I want to listen to hip hop, I will ask Alexa to play me 80s and 90s hip hop.
Yeah, that's the main thing I listen to. Is I still like the I'll mostly listen to like the campy, like very nostalgic, like 80s songs.
That's
the
what I
big
like.
thing.
Like those, you know, the cool beats, and not so much like a dance track. There was a period of time too where I didn't like techno, but my ex-wife did. So we had some techno stuff there for a while. But
I don't know if I've listened
CNC
to like any
Music
of that.
Factory and stuff like that. But all right, well, let's play another track. Tell us a little bit about this track, and what I want to do is I'm going to play the whole thing actually.
Okay.
So this is your most recent track.
Yeah, so this one came out, it should be 2 weeks ago, and I was talking about music in one of my classes, and I was trying to make friends, and one of the guys I was sitting next to at lunch was talking about how he makes music also. So I was like, well, we should make like some kind of song together or something, and then through video games, I made another friend in the class who he doesn't really do like that much music stuff, but he's got like some experience playing bass. So we were gonna get together, the two of us, my one friend who produces and me, and make something. And I was like, well, we should invite our third friend so that he can come along and like maybe he can do whatever and play whatever. And we all got together, and then my friend made we were listening to a song, and the melody or the way that the guitar was playing was like interesting, so we like played around like jokingly with it, and then eventually it went from like a couple measures of like guitar playing until it evolved into like guitar and then bass and then drums and like everything. And then we had like the layout for Crazy, and then we didn't have any lyrics, and I wanted to write like something like really happy, like fun and go lucky. And then they were like, what if you write about like this song like where you can't get a girlfriend, and they're both single. And I was like,
Like, your guys aren't incels, are you? Please tell me you're not incels.
yeah, they were like, because they both don't have girlfriends and they haven't dated anyone for like a really long time. And my one friend who produces, most of his songs are like about girls. And I told them straight up, I was like, I have like the best relationship ever, so like I don't know what you want me to write, but let me I guess kind of like, because if I write stories, I'll usually start with something real, and then I'll just take it off in like a weird direction. I'm doing like production stuff, and I want to write about production stuff. I'll start with me, and then I'll make it go like comical about stuff I don't even relate to at all, but I'll start with me. So for this song, for Crazy, I kind of like didn't do that because I don't know what they were talking about, but I was like, I can write a song about like wanting to be with someone, I guess, and it doesn't work. So I kind of just did like, I used like a lot of buzzwords, like I did like about like feeling in your heart and like a spark of love and all that stuff. I was like, give me like 5 minutes and I'll write it. So I wrote like the main chorus, and then we wrote the verse that my friend sings, and then my part I wrote way later because I didn't know what to write for it. But I put it together, and I was like, okay, how does this sound? And they read it. They were like, that's exactly what we wanted. I was like, okay, then good, because I don't know what else I would have done. So
I guess I would have said, so you guys can't find a girlfriend. I'm like, oh, this is not 30 years ago. This is now. It seems like it would be really easy. There's these things called apps.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't know. They'll like talk to me about it, and like they'll tell me about like who they like and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm lucky I don't have to deal with any of that, because apparently it sounds so tedious and difficult. I'm like I was hanging out with my friend last night, and he's been talking to me about it for like ever since I've known him, and I'm like, it just sounds so awful to date in today's world. I'm like, I'm glad I don't have to go meet new people like that.
Let me give these guys some advice. If you see a girl that you like, just go up and say, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I don't know if you have a boyfriend or not. If you don't, I'd like to take you out to dinner. If you do, I hope he treats you right.
Not terrible advice. But yeah, so, because they'll come to me for like relationship advice, and I'm like, and I'll be like, I don't know if I can help you, because like I'm dating my best friend because she's my best friend, and like we get along so well. So I don't know, try and find someone that you like, I guess.
Well, here's the thing though, you got to try. And the worst that they can do is say no.
Right.
That's all you got to do.
That's all. If they say no, then that's it. But
if they say no, then move on.
Yeah. But yeah, so like with this song specifically, I was like, I don't have any of these problems, but I can see if I can write what you're talking about. And I think I did a pretty good job for not being in that actual position myself, because I started dating Michaela as a senior in high school, and then I've been out of college for almost 2 years. So, but yeah, I was like, I don't know, I'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens.
And you guys are all pretty happy with the finished product then, I take it.
Yeah, we're all really happy with it. My friends say that my part is the best, like my part that I speak on is the best. I was like, no, the whole thing is really solid.
Yeah, the whole thing's really good. I like I got the advantage of having the clips as you guys evolved.
Yeah.
And I remember listening to it, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, man, I really hope there's a break. There's got to be a natural break in here where somebody raps or something.
Yeah, the way the song is set up is very different because there's only one verse. There's not another verse. It's intro, and I think it's intro, chorus, verse, chorus, break, chorus, and then outro, which normally you would do intro, chorus or pre-chorus, and then verse, and then another chorus, and then verse 2, and then chorus and then outro. But like our song setup is very weird, and I was like, I don't even know where I would fit in this song, and he just like went on the computer and he like broke it in like a spot, and he was like, that should do it, and it was like the perfect spot for it to break. Good. I was like, okay. But yeah, so my part specifically took a very long time to write because it was easy enough to write like the catchy chorus and everything like that, and I surprised myself with that, and then I was like, I don't know what else to write about because I don't want to fake like I have relationship problems and then show the song to Michaela and be like, yeah, so the song is all fake and everything. But I think my part specifically I wrote about like I think my part says something like I don't want to be with anybody else, or I don't want to go out and like do whatever stuff with other people. And I was like, that's true enough. So
well, and writing is about it's fiction anyway, right?
Yeah, I think because you can go back and forth between fiction and nonfiction, but like, because mine, some elements of it, depending on the story, are fictitious, but I have this thing where I'm like, I don't want people to listen to the song and like think a certain way about me if it's not true. So this one, I was like, I specifically want to make it so that like, because a lot of people that listen to my stuff like know me, and they'll know my girlfriend. I'm like, they might not know if it's real or not real or whatever. So this one, I was just like, I'll just make it about like how nice it actually is. Like the rest of the song is like, will they, won't they? And then my part is like, I don't have to deal with that. So.
And so is all the music then made on the computer, or they're actually playing instruments?
My friend played the guitar. He made the riff on the guitar, and then the guitar solo is played on an actual guitar. And my other friend played bass, and he did all his riff on the bass. That stuff is organic. I think those are the two. And anything piano, that's an actual like keyboard.
Oh, cool.
So anything other, so we had like 3 real instruments, and then he did editing and digital instruments on top of that for like percussion and some other stuff. But there's at least 3 real instruments in there.
Nice. Well, good. All right. Do you want to say anything to those guys in case they decide to listen?
Well, in case you guys are listening, I'm really happy with how the song turned out, so I'm glad you guys are too. And then I didn't say your name, so you can't be mad that I said you guys are having trouble with girls. So
to be a man is to have trouble with girls. So
right.
That's totally normal. So are there plans for you guys to do more music?
We have a few instrumentals done that we've made, and I've always wanted to do like a Christmas album, but we're running out of time, but we have some Christmas plans. We just got to get those finalized. But yeah, so we're going to try and make some Christmas music.
Excellent. All right, so what we'll do then is we're going to play the full track now, and I'm going to say goodbye before the track, but I want you to listen to the whole track there, Beavemanites, and Docutrons if you're listening. And but I'm going to say adios, mooch fuckos, and then we're going to play this whole track. Actually, I'm going to play all 3 of them, starting with Crazy, so that you guys can hear all of them. And I really want to thank Skylar for being here with us today.
All right, well, have a good one.
Said you don't want me, but I know you do. Trying to switch up the vibe, but I know you feel it too. You said you don't need me, baby, I need you. Yeah, run running circles and hiding this feeling you're fighting. I think we should fight it tonight. 'Cause baby, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. This is hard, this is hard. Now my heart's in the night that only you can do. 'Cause lately, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. You feel it. You feel it too.
So tell me, can you feel it? You say what you want is not. We can change up our perspective. Let me switch up what you thought. I say what we've got is perfect. You're the apple of my eye, and you know it's always worth it. I won't ever pass you by. Tell these other girlies bye. I ain't here to play these games. I've been brawling Super Smash. Watch me strike out all these lames, and allow me to disclaim about the fire in my heart. It's a feeling I won't fight, cause I felt it from the start.
'Cause baby, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. This is hard, this is hard. Now my heart's in the night that only you can do. 'Cause lately, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. You feel it. Yeah, you feel it too. Don't want me. Say you want me, but I know you do. But I know you do. Tryna switch up the vibe, but I know you feel it too. 'Cause baby, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. This is hard, this is hard. Now my heart's in the night that only you can do. 'Cause lately, I've been going crazy. I've been going crazy for you. You feel it. Yeah, you feel it too.
The dollar is our god.
Hi, my name is Tommy Wiseau. I'd like to introduce Space Ghost.
Okay, so back in the day, I was way above the wave, man. I traded in the girls for the video games. I played so much Super Smash Bros. Other kids called me names. They called me Mike Tyson's Punch Out. I was bringing the pain. Now they say I'm out my mind, cause that shit rot in my brain. But I stay and play inside every day that it rains. Okay, I've been getting badges, now I'm coming for fame. And I'll beat your ass at Mario Kart, so stay in your lane, bitch. Okay, Mario Odyssey, I'm a stone cold prodigy. Got flow, no modesty, I just speak all honesty. I just joke like comedy, I just grow so solidly. Yeah, ain't no novelty, yet they still throw rocks at me. Then backtrack and go rock with me. Act like they wasn't all blocking me. Act like they just wanna talk with me. I say stuff that you ain't want me. I say stuff that you ain't wanting. Knock you down and now you pawning. You asked for love and now I'm yawning. Go fuck yourself and keep on fawning. Okay, so that's just how it goes. Pokemon Stadium, beating on the foes. I never played it in a chair, I played it on the floor. Every weekend with that Nintendo 64. If I could trade it all, I would go back for more. Play so much Nintendo, man, my thumbs were always sore. We stayed up past midnight, beating every score. Now I'm almost 21, playing ever more. repeats, no fallacy. Race Grand Prix, no absentee. Play Kirby, no handicap. Can you even handle that? I go final smash. Step to me, get slapped again. Yeah, Kirby's getting onion rings and drifting in his whip. Pikachu is sleeping, Squirtle's messing with his shit. Mario is bleeding ocean, Bowser's got a shiv. I still fuck with Sonic though, I'll put him on the list. Okay, so that's just how it goes. Pokemon Stadium, beating all the foes. I never played it in a chair, I played it on the floor. Every weekend with that Nintendo 64. If I could trade it all, I would go back for more. Play so much Nintendo, man, my thumbs were always sore. We stayed up past midnight, beating every score. Now I'm almost 21, playing evermore.
Pika pika.
Hi, this is Skylar. Sorry I missed your call. Leave me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks. Bye.
I've been MIA, staying in my lane. So many fake friends, they didn't even know my name. They don't know my state, I got a new state of mind. I ain't never texting back, cause they're wasting my time, hey. So I could get alone. I chill right here, write rhymes on my phone. Produce it in the bedroom on a cheap microphone. And I'll take it to the top, I'ma sell out some shows.
You know I'm stronger without you in my life.
Damn right.
Can't believe I read between the lines.
Should've put it in a book, bitch.
You no longer deceive me with your lies.
You ain't gonna fool me.
Cause I'm done with you, out of sight, out of mind. I'm a street boy.
Down for you, but were you down for me? When I spent all my cash and yet you didn't see. I was putting in the work, I was putting in the time, but you acted so sour, bitch, I guess you lemon lime, hey. Okay, but that's fine with me. I keep it on the down low, nothing to see. And when it blows up, don't come crawl on your knees. I split the cash from my crew, you nothing to me. I'ma do you like Kerrigan, weak in the knee. I'ma lead like Caravan, put it on me. Got my friends in my whip and we hitting the beach. Better go and live life, yeah, we living carefree, hey. I ain't worried about you, I've moved on, and you should too. We're on different paths, man, you know that it's true. But don't hit me up, I'll never say that I miss you.
I'm stronger without you in my life.
Damn right.
Can't believe I read between the lines.
I'll put it on the shelf now.
You no longer deceive me with your lies.
I ain't getting fooled again.
Cause I'm done with you, out of sight, out of mind.
Mind is too close.
It's been a while since we've talked or hung out or done anything. I just wanted to reach out, see how you're doing. Give me a call back. Thanks. Bye.
You know I'm stronger without you in my life. Can't believe I read between the lines. You no longer deceive me with your lies. Cause I'm done with you, out of sight, out of mind. I'm a street boy. it.
Pika pika.